Okay, yay. I am recording, and Monique, girl, you are my treasure, my beautiful girl. I am so glad you're here. And as I promised in the group, I'm going to do a little talk on war on debt fridge, the war on debt refrigerator. And I think it's a stumbling block for a lot of people. Like, what is going on? I may ask you to turn off your mic because I think there's a little feedback, or it could be on my side. So there we go. Thank you. So it can be a stumbling block. So again, I want to say progress, not perfection. Do what you can one step at a time. But before we get into the war on debt refrigerator, I'm not in debt. I haven't been in debt since 2019. Why am I still doing it if I'm not in debt? I'm doing it because I am in command of my money. I tell my money what to do. It doesn't tell me what to do. I'm in charge. So I am making conscious choices. And because I am still making conscious choices, I am directing my future. I'm directing my dreams. And that comes to another point. What do you want? Why do you want financial freedom? What are you going to do with it? Sure, it feels good to be out of debt, but many people get out of debt, they get right back into debt. So what are you passionate about? Think about it now. Why do you want financial freedom? What is it going to do to you? How is it going to feel? How is it going to feel when you wake up and you know, I have no debt collectors coming? How is it going to feel when you need a new roof for the home that you own, mortgage free, and you can drop 20 grand on a roof and still not be in debt? To have that freedom, to go to another country on an amazing trip, like when you and I went to South Africa. And to go on it and know this is paid for. I'm not coming home to any bills. How is it going to feel at the end of December, after Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays and the Black Friday sales and the Cyber Monday sales, and you end up seeing your credit card statement, and instead of a negative, instead of you owing money, you're like, oh, I have a credit. Because I actually returned some items and I made sure that I wasn't spending on my credit card bill. All right, those are things that happened in this group in December. All of those things happen, not just to me, but to other people. And it feels good. What are you going to do with it? What legacy? Again, what are you passionate about? What are you dreaming about? And maybe you've stopped dreaming. Maybe you're like stuck and overwhelmed, and you're like, I don't even know what my dreams are anymore. You're going to find them. You got to find them. Take a breath and start dreaming again, because anything you go for, whether it's becoming debt free or, losing 30 pounds or getting in shape or starting a new business, none of it is going to stick until you have the energy, until you have the emotion of, wow, I have a dream, I'm excited about it, I'm looking forward to it. That's the key for any of your goals. Again, I'm going to say it again. What are you excited and passionate about? You got to find that first. You got to find that first, because otherwise it's drudgery. Oh yeah, I have to avoid this food to lose weight. Oh yeah, I have to take this out of my life in order to get out of debt. You're not going to survive if you're looking at the negative. You're not going to survive if you feel deprived. You're not going to get that goal if everything is about, well, I've removed all this stuff from my life. That sucks. You got to look for what you're going to get, right? With a diet, you're not going to be like, I'm just eating rubber chicken and broccoli with no spices. No, you're going to look for, what can I eat? You know, how can I make this flavorful? You're not going to take away anything without replacing it for something that's going to bring you joy, because life is too short. So when we go to the War on Debt fridge, and I showed you a picture of my fridge that was completely empty. And I got to say, the mindset was hard for my husband, because he's like, we need to go food. He was getting nervous. Like, where's our food? Like, oh my gosh, that's a poverty mindset. It's a scarcity mindset. And that's not what this is about. I'm like, what this represents is us being good stewards. This represents our dreams. This represents retiring in ease. This represents our vacation that we're going to have. This represents the new car that we just bought that was worth $15,000. We got it for $10,000. We paid cash and are still debt free because we made choices. We're not going back into debt. So this is not about deprivation, starvation. It's not about that. It's about what is the positives. And since we've been doing this, we've been eating better. We've been eating healthier. We've been feeling better. And even though it is the winter season here, and my sweet son has a little bit of a flu going on, you know, it's not bad. His body is bouncing back. So I'm going to take you to my kitchen and show you where we're at. What's today? Today is January 10th. At the beginning of the month, I spent $90 at the grocery store, and that included, you know, cleaning supplies and, you know, toilet paper and food. Yesterday, because my husband was off, we went to the farmer's market and we just spent $40 on produce. Farmers markets are a better deal than the grocery store usually. So that's $130. That ends up being 65, and I'm not going to go to the grocery store for another week. So that's going to be about $65 per week so far this month. That's really, really close to what Danny Johnson says about $20 per person per week. We have 3 people. $60 is the goal. Do I always hit the goal? No, hell no. No, I don't. But if I didn't have that goal of $60 per week, I would never even get to 65 if I didn't have that goal. So $60 is doable. It is still doable, even though Danny Johnson did her stuff years ago. It is still doable. I don't reach it every week. I don't need to because I'm financially free. But I want to because I want to be a good steward. So here's where we're at now. I'm going to open the refrigerator. I'm going to start with the freezer. And I'm going to flip the phone around. Let me see if I can figure out how to do it. You know, nope. Okay. It didn't flip yet. Where is it? All right, here we go. All right. Oh, all right. Well, right here, this is a big thing of popcorn. I bought popcorn in bulk. I don't need to buy potato chips. I don't need to buy snacks at $5 a bag. A little quarter cup. We can have popcorn to feed 3 people. All right, so that's it. And yes, I do use all these cutting boards. It's crazy. I know there's a lot, but I've got meat and I've got one for cutting bread and fruits and vegetables. And sometimes 3 people work in the kitchen. So I tried to declutter that, but we use them. All right, so here's the freezer. One of our expenses is beer and wine because my husband likes it. It's his treat. I wouldn't have it. But when you have a spouse, you want to honor your spouse. So nothing's going to be perfect. But this is for the beer. So he can have it in a frosted glass. I've got ice packs. I make my own popsicles in this. It's awesome. I love it in the summer. I've got some frozen juices that I add to some of my recipes instead of sugar. This is ginger from the garden. If you have ginger from the store, freeze it. It'll last for ages, and you do not need to peel it when you use it in soups or whatever. That's tomato paste. So I don't waste it. Did not use all of it from the can. This is chicken broth that I made from a whole chicken. I put them in a little ice cube tray. So if I need a little bit, I just grab it. There's fruit. Here's some meat. When I get the, something happened to my phone. All right, when I get the meat, I buy a whole chicken and I cut them up. So that way I can make broth. A whole chicken will last for ages. Learned that from Danny. These are actually breasts that were buy one, get one free. So it was the same price, but usually I get the whole chicken. And then I just have some frozen stuff. And look, I have treats. I even have treats. I'm not totally. Oh, and this bag is worth money. I put food scraps in here to make soup. Leftover potato peels, onions. So that's my fridge. And this was from yesterday's shopping. We got some grapes. That's kombucha. Haven't made kombucha in a while, but I'm saving it. A little sauce when we made homemade pizza. I don't know. I can put that over eggs. I can put it over rice. I don't know. I'm not going to waste it. We've got eggs. Bought romaine lettuce and romaine lettuce for the whole week. And all of the vegetables. It's going to last us for a week. And this is bread. I make bread. How much is a loaf of bread in Canada? You can type it in the chat, or you can, I mean, it's like $5 down here. And there's my condiments. I've got my hubby's beer. I've got, mayonnaise and hot sauce and ketchup and peanut butter and jelly. We go through a lot of peanut butter and jellies. That is the basics. And I'm going to flip on over to here. This is a bread maker that my mom gave me. It's like 40 years old. And there's another one just like it behind it, exact same machine. I got that bread maker for $10 at Goodwill. $10. So if you want to make your own bread, you can find them cheap at a thrift store. That $10 bread maker, that just paid for 2 loaves of bread. That's how much 2 loaves of bread cost. It paid for itself after 2 loaves of bread. I'm going to step outside here. So I saw the machine. It was my exact same machine. I thought, I'd like to make 2 loaves at a time because my family eats a lot. We like to pre-prep sandwiches. And if one of my machine breaks, or if I have a part that breaks, I have a spare, I can cannibalize the parts from one for another. But I use it all the time. So I'm saving money by making my own bread, saving money by buying whole chickens and using everything. And if anybody's interested, I'll piece out a chicken. I'll show you how to like butcher a chicken. All right, so Monique says she's baked bread from scratch. It's very time consuming. Okay, here you go. It's not time consuming. It takes me less than 5 minutes to put everything in the bread maker. 5 minutes for 2 loaves of bread. And I grind my own flour. That takes 90 seconds. I grind my own flour for 90 seconds. And if you count the time that I scoop it into my Vitamix, I use a Vitamix to grind it, that's 2 minutes right there. While the flour is grinding, I put yeast in my bread makers. I measure out the salt and the sugar. Then when it's done grinding, I sift it, put in the flour, put in the salt, put in the sugar, and then I add 1.5 cups of water to each and a couple of tablespoons of olive oil or coconut oil or butter or some sort of fat. Takes less than 5 minutes. And I feel like I'm getting free bread. It's not totally free, but it's certainly not $5 a loaf for good quality bread, because we still want to be healthy. So that is just, that's just a quick look onto my War on Debt refrigerator. Some weeks, some months I do awesome. Some weeks, some months, not so good. Okay, Monique says much faster in machine. Yeah, go ahead, check out a thrift store, check out a garage sale. I don't think I've found a bread maker for more than $10 here in where I live. Like that's the going rate for used bread makers, bread machines. And that's it. I mean, you set it and forget it. Now, yeast can be kind of pricey, but we can talk to Kayla in this group. I've made sourdough bread before, and you do not need to buy yeast for sourdough bread. There's yeast naturally on the flour. You just have to go through a process of letting it grow. So, but the sourdough is time consuming. You do need a routine. You do need to understand it. There's a higher learning curve. But those are just a few ways to get your War on Debt fridge, but it's all in your mind. It's if you want to do it. And if you're saying, gosh, I can't possibly do that. I can't do that. How can I do that? Well, if you say that, you're right. How about you look at, how can I do that? How can I get closer to that? It's not about being perfect, but how can I get closer to that? Because I'm going to save money. I'm going to pay off my debt faster. When you're at the grocery store or when you're making your plan, and if you make a plan, then you're planning to succeed. If you fail to plan, then yeah, you're going to fail. But when you're thinking about your list, is that, I don't drink coffee. My husband does. But if it was me, I'm like, is that cup of coffee worth me going on a dream vacation? Is that bag of chips worth it for me to give up my new car? Or is that bag of chips worth it for me to give up my health goals of losing weight? Think about it. Think about it. Can I take an extra 5 minutes to make a couple loaves of bread and save $10 that I can put toward debt? Is 5 minutes of my time worth it to save that money? And where else can I save the money so I can spend it in a better place elsewhere? And we haven't even talked about investing yet. Much. I've dabbled on it, but if you are listening to this, when I started this group 10 months ago, there's tons of videos on the War on Debt program. You got to get your mind primed. but I want to hear your sprouts. I want to hear where you have succeeded. We're going to focus on where you're succeeding. We're not going to focus on the negative. We're going to celebrate it. Maybe you shaved off $5 this week. Yay, that's awesome. Keep it up. I don't expect anybody to immediately have everything perfect tomorrow or this week. I don't even have it perfect. But let's just move towards the life of our dreams with every one of our choices. And they are our choices. Wherever you're at today, you've made the choice to be there. You made the choice. And if you say, oh my gosh, my husband left me, oh my gosh, this happened, I lost my job, blah, 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 that's the reason. No, that's not the reason why you're there. All of your other choices. I lost my job. My mom had men leave her through divorces. She survived. You make choices in your life so that you can overcome the storms that are going to hit, because storms will always hit you. How are you going to react to them? How are you preparing for them? I live in Florida. We have hurricanes hit us every other year. I'm always prepared. I have a plan. If the storm hits or if the storm doesn't hit, doesn't matter. I'm going to be okay. Is it going to be tougher if the storm hits? Yeah, it's going to be tougher. Life's always going to have storms. You can overcome them. Other people have overcome them. Follow those people that are doing it. Follow those people that have what you want. If you want to have a life that's completely debt-free, mortgage-free, my husband and I never need to work another day in our lives in order to live. We don't need to do it because we worked and we made good choices and we learned. Monique is here. We learned from Danny Johnson. I learned from Hans Johnson. I went to First Steps. Go to First Steps if you haven't done it. Go to Creating a Dynasty. I got private coaching from Danny Johnson. I'm still in a private coaching group with Hans Johnson. Why? If I don't need to work another day in my life, why would I still need that? I don't want to backslide. I still want to grow. And I don't want to just to survive. I want to thrive. I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. I want to do better. And I want to bring you along with me. I'm not that far removed from you. I just started all of that private coaching and intense coaching in 2020. In 2020. It's now 2024. So that's 3 years. You could be completely debt-free and never having to work another day in your life in 3 years. Maybe it'll take you 1, maybe it'll take you 2, maybe it'll take you 5. What if it takes you 7 years to be completely out of debt and to be thriving and developing a plan to where you don't need to work if you don't have to? What if it takes 7 years? Oh my gosh, what if it takes 10? Well, I'll tell you what, 7 years is going to come anyway, whether you do anything or not. So how about you start planning for that freedom? All right, I love you. I'm done. Monique, you're awesome. You're a great encourager. And I just want to open it up. If you have any questions, any thoughts, because you're here, you know I love you. I am here for you. And you're welcome to unmute and share if anything resonated or if you have a question.
The only thing I wanted to say, aside from thank you so much for your time, Larissa, is just hearing you share about your life and the freedom that you have, that you're not having to work just to pay the bills. You're already and you're in such a great place. It literally is just firing me up and inspiring me to say, yes, it is possible. It can be done. So thank you so much for that. I really needed it.
Oh, I love you, girl. I love this group. And 8 o'clock tonight, I have my More In-Depth Tuesday training. I do have something special. If you're able to pop in, it'd be awesome to see you again. But I love you. You know I do, girl. Thank you so much for being here. See you. Bye.